Okay. According to the thingy, it says YouTube is live and it says PeerTube is live. Give me a second as I confirm this. Yes, YouTube is showing as live. Hello, everybody. And then let me check. PeerTube's always the one that I'm like I said last week, I was going to try to do PeerTube again this week. It's a little bit more to set up PeerTube and YouTube at the same time. Let me refresh the page. If you go to techlore.tv, which is the PeerTube server, it should be live. I just confirmed right now, and I'm seeing that it's live at the moment. So you can actually watch this live stream completely on open source software on PeerTube. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Hello, we have a channel supporter, the Nugget Doctrine over there. Welcome in. We live. Yes, we are. Today is pretty light, to be honest with you, so I can give people a little bit more time. We resumed this whole privacy wins saga last week, and so there was a lot of people to get through this week. There's plus or minus about 10, maybe plus or minus 2. Sorry, plus or minus 2 people out of 10. And so it should be a lot more attention and it should be more time for Q&A. So please, please, please start leaving any wins, any questions, anything you want to share in the live chat. And I don't know if PeerTube actually has a live chat. I'm still learning live streaming on PeerTube. So we're doing one thing at a time and trying to make that the same experience as all of you people on YouTube. With that said, Techlorians in the Signal group, which is our private little group for all our channel supporters, feel free to send anything along in that Signal group, and I'll go ahead and keep tabs on that as well. So it could be any questions, any wins that you want to share. I am pretty excited for this. Let's give people a couple more minutes to come in here. Feel free to say hi in the chat. Let me know, how's my video sound? How's my audio sound? How are you all doing? Any crazy life changes today? Anything that you guys are excited about? Please let me know. I know on my end, it's one of those days where I have to use many different sides of my brain because I have to do recording today, I have to do a lot of admin today, I have to start planning some projects that we're working on, and it was like one after the other, but completely different tasks, and so my brain is kind of always having to rewire. And now I'm in a live stream, just randomly, like I just came back from lunch, and now I'm here, and it's like, So over here it might be a little bit scattered, but I'd love to hear how you guys are doing. And let's see. Oh, I'm getting reactions. Hello, hello. And let's see. Earlier today, I know. So okay, I'm seeing the Clippy stuff, and I actually haven't watched the video you guys are referencing yet, so I actually don't know what any of it means. But it's cool to see some early comments here from Herbit, from Mike, Platformer, SideQuest, Hyper Crazy with an X instead of a Z, and then Nix, who's also in the Signal group, I believe. Nugget Doctrine, Jarne, Mr. Polo, Jamie says, hi, Henry, hello. Jarne says, great to see you back. I'm glad you're back to regular privacy wins. Missed it. Yeah, I missed it too. It's really good to be back. And like I said, I kind of wanted to wait until things were a little bit more settled back here, and things are. Now we're able to do this again every week, so I'm really excited for it. Please continue to send messages. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the wins. Again, you can watch this on YouTube or on PeerTube at techlore.tv. Let me go ahead and boom, take us over to the wins. So this week, the main win I wanted to showcase was from @Burner, which, as you might have seen in the title and thumbnail, is about leaving Snapchat, perhaps a long time ago, perhaps, and pretty much trying to make Signal as good as possible. So there's multiple wins along the way here. So one, my wins for the past few weeks are as follows. One, they hardened Signal and in particular set chats to disappear after 1 to 2 weeks. I used to do that kind of stuff with Snapchat, but that's not secure compared to Signal. So yeah, Snapchat is missing a lot of critical stuff that Signal includes, like basic end-to-end encryption throughout the entire app. Being open source is a big plus. Not having tons of third-party trackers. So I would look at Snapchat more as social media rather than a private place to communicate. And I know for many of us regulars here, that should be an obvious thing, but that's not an obvious thing to a lot of new people and people who use Snapchat and are new to these kind of platforms. So it's a really important thing to mention. In terms of hardening Signal, Signal out of the box is already far better than most messengers, but even put together my own hardening guide for Signal on this channel. If you just type in Signal hardening guide, it should come up on YouTube. And disappearing messages are a great feature to enable. And so any of you out there who want to make Signal a little bit more private and secure, there's actually a lot of leeway that you have with Signal before you might have to look at more intense options out there. Like Session, SimpleX, etc. And even those, you know, it's pros and cons between Signal and those providers. It's not like I just think they're outright better in every regard. So yeah, so congrats to Burner there. But that's not it, because they deleted all social media. This was a long process that lasted about a month, but aside from YouTube and Reddit, I am not on social media. So good stuff there. They got Proton Unlimited, which is their more ecosystem offering. They never liked Surfshark's interface much, which is a VPN. And it had kind of a lot of problems. I'm hoping Proton VPN works better. I hope it does for you too. I'm also thinking about moving my Dropbox, once I can call it, to my Proton drive, though I've read some negative Reddit reviews of the drive, which of course I should take with a grain of salt. Yeah, so I will say Proton drive is going to be one of the harder ones to migrate to. It's not going to offer quite everything you might expect from something like Google Drive or Dropbox, but it has gotten better over the years. I know the #1 complaint I see online and in our community is there's still no Proton drive client for Linux, and so that is something that I know a lot of people would love to see. Now, they've hardened their iPhone as well. They probably won't have Graphene as their primary phone, but may have it as a secondary phone. I think the biggest improvement is getting rid of Face ID and changing it to a 6-digit PIN. It's not perfect, but it's better. And if you want to make that a little bit more secure, you can make it an alphanumeric PIN as well, so like a full-length password. It doesn't have to be just 6 digits. That's something that I've enabled on some of my phones as well. And then they used a privacy card today. I assume you mean privacy.com, which is a really good aliasing service that I highly recommend and use. So they're very excited. So overall, huge wins. And I mean, for most people, what you've done is like 80–90% of the work for your entire privacy and security journey. If everyone did what you did, that would put them in a really solid place. Now, of course, we can nitpick and try to get you a little bit further, but massive congrats to Burner. Definitely send them some love in the live chat, because this is a really important win. Now, let me go ahead and do perhaps one more here, and then I'll go back to the live chat for you guys. And then we can kind of flip-flop like we normally do between the comments and the wins. So Rolls Ice Cream says, I just helped my brother installing Ubuntu on his low-spec laptop, and he likes the experience so far. The main reason is that even though his laptop is compatible with Windows 11, the Windows experience on this laptop is subpar. Excuse me. Now his laptop has solid performance thanks to Linux. So for any of you, I'm sure most of you have been in this situation, but trying to run Windows on like older or less powered hardware is a nightmare. Windows seems to just eat resources like nobody's business. So it is a really nice side effect. We don't need to sell Linux as, you know, something to do for your privacy. We have to remember that most people don't look at privacy the same way we do. For them, it's not like a, oh, I just inherently care about privacy and I'm going to pick the more privacy respecting provider. For them, it's, oh, okay, why should I use this? I don't really care too much about privacy. So we probably shouldn't lean too heavily on the privacy arguments. So I think saying something like, hey, Windows 10 is about to expire in security updates, your device isn't compatible with Windows 11, hey, it's gonna slow down anyway because Windows is a bloated hunk of trash, etc. We can make a list of like 30 reasons why someone shouldn't use Windows. That's not very hard to do, and I know all of you can do that as well. And so my point is, it's very easy to sell Linux onto people. It's not easy to make them switch, but I think it's an easy sell, if that makes sense. So good job, Rolls Ice Cream, for that. And I think it's a good reminder for all of us to really focus on those feature experience reasons to migrate to certain things. Let's see here. Jarne. How do I say your name? I want to make sure I got this right. Is it Jarne? Is it Jarne? Last week I asked you if Rethink and NetGuard are still active in terms of updates. Rethink has been quiet for 14 months and NetGuard is from January. Neither of those are very active, which is very unfortunate. So it would be cool to get some progress on Rethink and their status, because they're very commonly recommended and I really like the service. So I hope that they come forward and at least maybe ease some concerns that they still intend to maintain them. Thoughts on Instagram Maps feature. I saw it in my RSS feed today, and as I said at the beginning, I've had almost no free time today, so I haven't actually had time to dig into it. But it is in my RSS feed, and I will happily look at it when I have some free time. Great to see you back as well. First time catching one of these live. Thanks for what you do. Of course, Matt. And thanks for being on and being a part of this. I hope it's not too crazy of a time for you over there. I don't know what your time zone is, but yeah. SideQuest Sam, that's a good name. I would use Mullvad VPN over Proton since you can pay with Monero. Yeah, you know, if Monero is like something you absolutely need and it's a firm requirement for you, then yeah, Proton doesn't seem very Monero friendly in general. In fact, they seem very committed to not supporting Monero. So it's a bit unfortunate, but I don't know if you saw this, but there was this whole, it's not drama, but there was this whole like saga where on Twitter, I think one of the devs or engineers behind Proton VPN put a poll on Twitter and said, hey, if you guys get 1,000 signatures from the Monero community, we'll add Monero to Proton VPN, you know, before the end of the summer or something like that. I forgot what the timeline was. I don't want to put words in their mouth on that. But it took like a week, but the Monero community did get 1,000 signatures. And of course, you know, you got different people who are like, well, they shouldn't have demanded people to essentially, you know, hand over signatures for them to do it. They should have just done it in the first place. You know, all that stuff aside, I hope they do it now because they did get the signatures, and I think they will. So that might actually be another reason to maybe consider Proton if you are a Monero only person. Otherwise, you can't go wrong with Mullvad. It's a great service. So yeah. Also, there's iVPN if you want Monero too. They support it. Hi, Henry. Thoughts on a privacy DNS client? So I have DNS providers on the techlore.tech resources page, just techlore.tech/resources. It's in the description of every video. And I'll just say I like NextDNS for filtering, and I like Control-D for filtering if you need active filtering and block lists. And if you just want a generic privacy DNS, like you don't care too much about customizing filters and stuff, Mullvad's DNS is fantastic. It actually has different offerings, so you can get some basic filtering, but it's their own filters. You can't customize them any. And then some people like Cloudflare. It's fine. I think Cloudflare is probably better than your regular ISPs. And of course, you can always use your VPN's DNS, and you're probably okay with all those options. Yeah, that's typically what I recommend. Let's see. Signal Group, stream is live. Gurujo says, I would actually love to have the question answered alongside the one that's on the win. So it's a quote from an earlier message. Their Pixel's SIM tray has broken and the SIM is stuck there. I'm kind of heavily considering going eSIM because of this, as I'm not sure if it can break again or not. Fortunately, I can utilize the Xiaomi phone I have for backup, the same phone my smartwatch I received got configured on. Is there any privacy risks towards eSIMs outside of needing a threat model to be the carrier? So this is a good question, and just to be upfront with you, I don't have like the best answer here because I can't factually check any of this. But I do recall looking into this quite a while ago and asking some people I trust, and the general assessment from that, again, this is not directly from me, was that it didn't matter too much between an eSIM and a regular SIM. So, you know, all the privacy concerns you have with the regular SIM card are still going to exist with an eSIM, and all of the things that you're not typically concerned about with a SIM card are not things you're probably going to be concerned about with an eSIM. There are, of course, probably some slight nuances, but from what I was able to tell, you're fine. I use eSIMs. I stopped using SIM cards. I know there's a lot of fear-mongering around eSIMs out there, but from everything I've been able to find and tell, it doesn't seem like a major concern. And actually, some providers prefer eSIMs because in some, depending on the configuration, it can actually be a little bit harder to SIM swap those. So just something to think about. Some providers I've talked to do eSIMs for that reason, I should add. Okay, so we left off here. Okay, let's see. On the topic of switching to Signal, this is from Mr. Plasma, I hope the chat control thing won't become reality as it would ruin encryption. I fully agree. I agree with you. Okay, let's go ahead and resume this. Gurujo, back to you and your win. You made a lot of things here, so I'll try to go ahead and summarize as best I can. So you plan to make a video essay, which I'm really excited to see. I always mention that any of you out there who have something to add, a different perspective, it might not seem like it's useful, but it really is. All of us have different backgrounds, we all do different things, we all have different opinions. So I think it's really good for any of you out there to add something constructive to the space and share your experience and be like, hey, everyone says that this service is awesome and I tried it and it kind of sucked for me, and here's why, as somebody who owns a bakery, privacy.com didn't work well for me. I don't know, I'm just making crap up. But like, this stuff really does matter, and I feel like it's just a very select few number of voices, including myself, who are kind of sharing a lot of this stuff. It's a much smaller space than you guys think it is. So yeah, I highly recommend this. Now, you've been on a 3-week streak now with having 2 separate phones, one intended for commute and one for communication and uninterrupted entertainment. I would love to hear how this workflow has changed now that you broke your SIM card tray. So definitely let us know. And I'm laughing not at your situation. It's just unfortunate timing, so I'm really sorry about that. Continuing above, I'm now going to enhance this digital relationship by also bringing an eSIM smartwatch to the mix, where I could leave both phones at home. So I do recommend this. So I actually was experimenting with this as well with an eSIM watch. And I also ended up getting just a second device that I could use as something that's like, oh, I leave my main device at home and I can take this dedicated just like signal only device. So I'm very focused and I can just disconnect from everything. It's not for everybody, but if you're somebody who really wants that separation, I actually really enjoyed it. And a smartwatch is a good way to get that, because then you'll get some basic notifications. But other than that, you can customize it so you don't really get anything that's intrusive in any way. And you can still get some basic apps to still navigate the world if you need them. So if you go ahead and do this and you have some experience, definitely follow up in a future wins, because it would be really cool to learn about. A blog on your experience before or after the video essay, of course. Not a privacy and security win yet, but I'd mentioned I'd like to go forward this. You want to go with the SPN to replace Proton, as you feel there's a significant privacy benefit with the way it offloads different traffic. So yeah, would it be worth it? Would Molvad with data be better instead of NIM VPN? What do you think? Honestly, all these services are good. You're kind of, in my opinion, like you're kind of picking between some of the best services in the space, and they're all doing good stuff. I think just getting a trustworthy regular VPN with none of these fancy bells and whistles is already doing you quite a bit of good. And of course, if you use Proton Secure Core, it's a little bit better. If you do something like the SPN, that's probably a little bit better. In terms of NIM versus the SPN, that's a question a bit out of my wheelhouse. I haven't done an in-depth analysis of NIM VPN to answer that. But either way, I think you're asking the right questions. And I would say just pick the provider that works the best for you, and then see the most that you can maximize with that provider. I wouldn't just like fully inconvenience yourself for slight benefits on the networking side personally. But it really depends, of course, on your priorities. Verified safety numbers on Signal, definitely something to try if you guys haven't done that before. Speaking of, a small win I can think of is that in finding the alternative to Microsoft To Do, unfortunately they have an Apple Watch, and the filters they've set specifically mention 2 freemium apps, which reinforces the state of the smartwatch market. But they accepted to use the progressive web app in the browser that has uBlock Origin Lite. But they need to process how I can go about convincing them to switch to Brave. Cool, yeah, no, definitely keep us updated if you find a good way to approach that. You started using SMS Pool. It's a good way to have some phone number verification. I still have yet to test it myself, but it seems to get really good reviews from people I trust. And they started encrypting work files with Cryptomator. If you haven't used Cryptomator, I put together a guide not too long ago. It's very timely with all of these countries threatening to outlaw end-to-end encryption and whatnot. With Cryptomator, you do your own encryption that can go on any cloud, whether or not it's end-to-end encrypted. So it's a way to own your own encryption. I highly recommend checking out Cryptomator. All right, moving on to, I feel like there's no clean way to say this username. I don't think you mean it in a politically incorrect manner, but I feel like if I said it, it would come across awkwardly. So I'll just say this guy. They've recently gone ahead and switched most, if not all, of my writing from fragmented tools like Novel Writer, Standard Note, Story Architect to Obsidian MD using a local first setup without an account. Now, Obsidian MD should mean, as far as I know, Obsidian Markdown. So they've essentially moved all of their stuff all to Obsidian, which by default functions locally. I believe their sync is end-to-end encrypted if you wanted to use their sync. But either way, they're just Markdown files. So you could actually just do your own syncing of those Markdown files with a third party sync service. So yeah. Now, all 4 of the former are local first options, but I wanted to get almost everything onto something as local only. So really cool. They still use standard notes for certain things, but I've trimmed the notes I have on that service down, and I'm still learning what I'd want to remove from there. Good stuff. So yeah, I've actually done I've spoken about Obsidian in the past. It is not for me. I can't stand Obsidian. I opened it and it was so much crap, and I'm like, man, this is just overwhelming my brain. It's the same way I feel about Notion. But people that I absolutely adore, super respect, all of you guys, I know you guys love Obsidian. So I know that it's a good service for a lot of people. It just doesn't click with my brain. Otherwise, I'd probably also be an Obsidian bro, because I think it'd be cool. We got Potem Kinnear. Man, you guys are making it hard for me today. I'm just gonna, oh, Nix, perfect. Nix, Bronze Techlorian, and also in the Signal group. Awesome to have you here. After quite some time having some small wins, my girlfriend filled up her iPhone to the brim with pictures and videos of her trip to France and the UK and couldn't get them easily off to her PC. She's not as tech savvy like most people, so I suggested her Synology Photos as a solution which I self-host and gets backed up. She's loving it and will migrate other photos and videos to it too, so she doesn't have it spread across multiple devices. Really nice of you. Sounds like you're a good boyfriend, and it sounds like you are, you know, it's just nice to, I know a few people now in my life who have their own self-hosted solutions, and they're very friendly for sharing those with other people they know. It's one of the best things you can do as a self-hoster, I think, and it's a good way to give back to the people around you. And also shout out to a person I know who lets me use their media servers. Now, he also said they registered both their phone numbers to a do not call public registry their country has, which in effect prevents anyone to call you for marketing or sales purposes. If they actually ignore this registry and call you still, they get hefty fines. So this link is, should I risk it? Let's see. So yeah, if you're interested, here's kind of what this looks like. The US, I believe, has something similar for mail and credit card offers. It's like a generic opt-out thing that you can do, and you can actually make it permanent if you mail them, I believe, but otherwise if you do it online, it's something like a 5-year window. I don't remember the exact number of years, but there are opt-outs that you guys can do in a lot of countries, so it's worth digging into that. Other than that though, great wins. I'm also a user of Synology Photos. I personally use Synology Photos for my more professional photography that I like to do. Well, it's professional photography, but personal, if that makes sense. Like I don't do it for money or anything. But like for my DSLR camera, it's just a lot of heavy raw stuff, and I don't really want to load that onto just my regular photo libraries app. And I also don't want to load it into like paid providers, and my NAS has is something like 36 terabytes of storage on it, and it might as well go sit on that. So yeah, that's what I use Synology Photos for. All right, we're gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna cut over to your comments. Again, please leave your wins, leave any questions you have, anything you wanna say, just leave it in the live chat. I'd love to get back to it. And before I do that, we have Backfield3779, who is also an early Techlorian. So they said they started their own blog where they will write about things related to privacy and technology, and they already published my first intro post, but will probably create a separate post in the forum after I've published my first article that deals with the theme. And it's really cool to see this. There's not too much here yet, but I'm excited to see what you put together when it's done. So go check that out if you're interested. And then they moved most of their apps from the Play Store and F-Droid to Obtainium to reduce my dependency on Google and receive faster updates. So this is something I actually would love to do a dedicated video on Obtainium, and it's something I should really do because it's a really cool app if you guys haven't used it. But with Obtainium, you just get apps directly from their GitHub repo. Anytime the APK is uploaded, your phone will automatically fetch and install it. And you can even add things like F-Droid repos within Obtainium. So theoretically, Obtainium can actually replace a lot of things. Now, it won't be able to replace something from the Google Play Store exclusively. So this is really an open source thing. But it still is a really cool service. You guys should check it out. And then the third win is they enabled 2FA for a few sites that I noticed had started to support it. No passkey or security key support, which annoys me because email and TOTP 2FA doesn't offer phishing resistance. I agree, but let's just give them some claps, right? Let's give all the services claps that go from no 2FA to some 2FA. And their some 2FA was not SMS 2FA. So I agree with you. I wish they had security key support, but honestly, I have a lot of accounts, and I can probably name all the accounts that support security keys, and it's probably less than 10% of them. So I actually think it's pretty good for those services to at least have some 2FA. Not to, because I fully agree with you. Just for the record, I wish they also did security keys, but at least it's not SMS 2FA. Just trying to keep things positive around here. All right, let's go ahead and go back. Let's see. What do you think about Nostr? I'm sorry to the Bitcoin bros. I am not the biggest Nostr fan. I'm not like anti-Nostr. I don't have super strong opinions about this. I just don't fully grasp what Nostr accomplishes that something like Mastodon doesn't. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I find the usability of almost every Nostr client to be pretty pitiful. And the one client that seems okay, which is Primal, I've heard isn't even like kind of the best example of how Nostr is supposed to be implemented in terms of like a decentralized protocol. So yeah, I'm a little bit critical of Nostr. I'm actually, it's really interesting. You know, there's these like crypto / like rich tech bros that are like, wow, wouldn't this be a good idea? And they always just make their own version of it instead of supporting protocols and things that already exist. And I see this a lot, like why did Blue Sky come to fruition when Mastodon was already there? Why did Nostr happen when Mastodon was there? They're all kind of trying to do the same thing. And I'm not saying Mastodon is the answer, but I don't know why all three of them can't just be working towards the same goal. Now I know Mastodon's actually interoperable with Nostr. You can follow Mastodon accounts from Nostr. So that is a pretty cool feature of Nostr. I wish Blue Sky did that. But anyway, I'm mixed on it. So if you have reasons why you like Nostr, let me know. I might be totally wrong on something cool that Nostr does. But yeah. And then, okay, my name is Dutch and it is without the H, so Jarne. Jarne? Jarne? I hope I got that right. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not on the forum yet, but I've been working on moving to a country with a greater respect for citizen privacy. Not the primary reason for moving, but it's a wonderful bonus. I hope that goes smoothly. Privacy aside, moving out of the country sounds like a huge commitment, and I hope it goes smoothly, and I feel like there's a lot of things to go through, so I'm just wishing you luck on that journey. Dang, it's been ages since I heard of RSS. Stopped using it when Google killed off a reader. Man, RSS is still cool, it's still hip, you should still use it, and I can still like keep up with all of my news via RSS. So yes, it's maybe a bit old-fashioned, but it's still awesome. If you're not using RSS, I think there has to be a place for almost anyone to use RSS, in my opinion. It's one of those things that's like, you just haven't found a use for RSS yet if you're not using it. And this is my main reason as well. It's really easy to avoid social media when you have RSS. I've changed the browser and I'm using VPN now, but Facebook, I couldn't stop using it. I'm using it in my browser. So it's congrats on the browser switch and congrats on the VPN switch. And I'm sorry about Facebook. It's still moving in the right direction. So if you can keep Facebook in your browser, that's still pretty solid than actually having to install it. Congrats on the win, says Mr. Plasma. Come on, keep it appropriate. No, it's appropriate. Thank you. Carter says hello. Gurujo says some really good wins indeed. SideQuest Sam, message retracted. Whew. You must have said some crazy stuff. Soon we'll be going back to using PGP. I mean, we already can, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that's in reference to the chat control thing I was talking about earlier. Love when a guy that knows a lot about security says, should I risk clicking on this link? Yeah, so our forum has a few things in there, so I already trust links that have been on our forum for a week to be fairly safe. And then I did check like the overlay URL and it seemed safe enough. And this browser is a pretty safe browser. Like there's a lot of mitigations here behind the scenes, but yeah, got to be a little risky on live streams. Live streams are a lot of risk, guys. Like, I can say anything at any time and it just goes out to the world. It's crazy. It's always a weird concept to me. Is there a goal this week? I missed last week's stream. There isn't a goal this week. If you guys want a goal, I'll create one. Like if there's something you want to see or something, I'll create a goal and then you guys have to reach the goal. So I'll leave it in your guys' court. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy doing this. Ditch Signal for XMRChat. That's hard to do, man. Did you get all of your contacts over? Like, how was that process for you? Because I don't think I'd be able to do that personally. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but I'd love to hear how you did it. Why do you think that antivirus are useless when the PC security channel shows Bitdefender being way better than Windows Defender? Yeah, it's a good question. So when I say that antivirus is useless, normally it's under the context of, and this is how I've been trying to present this, an antivirus is probably not something you need to get for most people. And the reason why that is the way I view an antivirus is, oh, you already fucked up, and now you're trusting a tool to have to take care of everything that you fucked up on, right? So for something to happen in most situations, you have to either be, phished to the point of downloading a malicious file, something that's actually trying to do direct malicious intent on your system. And at that point, yeah, it's just full trust in whether or not your antivirus solution will actually recognize it and do something about it. So really, the place I'm coming from here is that no, Bitdefender, I'm not saying it wouldn't maybe do better than Windows Defender. I just think that for most people, Windows Defender does well enough where for most circumstances, if they have up-to-date operating systems, up-to-date browsers, they're using things like DNS filters for like malicious links, and they just have basic education on phishing scams and things like this. And they're not downloading random crap all the time, etc. So if we actually educate people and we also have them enable Windows Defender and or we have them be on just inherently slightly more secure operating systems where it's less of a concern, they probably don't need to pay, $50 a month, however much it costs nowadays to have an antivirus anymore at that point. So I think it's really important to keep, it's important to keep recommendations in the context of the person. And this is something that is really hard to do in videos sometimes, but I try my best, of course. But yeah, I think like in enterprise environments, for example, an antivirus might make a lot of sense where the privacy concerns are a little bit less so there, especially if you're paying for like a corporate plan that has maybe better privacy policies for businesses, and you're perhaps an IT manager and you have to make sure that people who don't know what the hell they're doing in an organization have basic security, even if they install crap on their systems, and you need to maximize everything you can. There are edge cases. I just do heavily disagree that like everybody needs a third-party paid antivirus. I don't think it's necessary. And for context, if I'm using a Windows system, if I'm configuring a personal computer right now for myself with Windows Defender, I'm only keeping Windows Defender. I'm not paying or getting a third-party antivirus. And that's also what I would recommend to almost all of my friends and family as well. So this is what I would personally do myself. Let's see here. Difference in privacy and security for home Wi-Fi versus hotspot from phone for simple web browsing or online banking. Honestly, man, we can dive into that. I would just say that this is almost completely a usability thing. I mean, Wi-Fi is going to give you much better reliability, much better speeds. You're going to have a lot more flexibility with your devices. It's going to be permanently there, permanently on. Hotspots aren't really designed for this use case. Trust me when I say this, because I got a Calyx hotspot, an unlimited hotspot, and I actually ditched my whole home internet for like a year or two. And I only used that for everything, and it was at times a bit difficult to use for things like uploading videos and stuff like that. So I would, before even getting into the privacy and security, ask yourself about the usability, and then from there, okay, if this now is a privacy and security thing and I'm 50-50, I would say from most situations, it's not that different, right? Like you're looking at pros and cons here. And they almost serve different use cases. Like a hotspot allows you to not connect to public Wi-Fi networks all the time, and you own your own Wi-Fi network everywhere you go, whereas your own home Wi-Fi is only within the scope of your own home. In terms of the connection between your devices and the hotspot, it's not that big of a difference. And in terms of the kind of privacy that you find between the hotspot and the cell provider / the ISP, it's not that different. Again, I'm very much simplifying this. You're not going to find drastic differences as far as I can tell. The main difference is the hotspot will let you avoid Wi-Fi altogether and in public places, whereas your home Wi-Fi does nothing against that. Ideally, in my opinion, you have both, and that's what I do. I have home Wi-Fi, and I also have an unlimited hotspot that's tied to my cell plan that I can use so I can avoid Wi-Fi when needed out in public. Which free alternatives to Samsung Gallery do you recommend? So there used to be a suite of tools called the Simple suite on Android. It was an open source suite that was designed to replace your stock apps, like your stock dialer, your stock messenger, your stock calendar, your stock gallery. And there was a whole thing where their developers sold it to like practically an ad company that makes these apps less privacy preserving. And then they rebranded it to, it's green now. Someone help me. It starts with an F, I think. Okay, someone help me in the live chat. You guys, someone knows. I'll keep the bottom of this live chat open. Fossify, boom. It's called Fossify now. So there should be a Fossify gallery, which you guys should be able to use as a basic alternative. That's the only one I know of. If anyone has better recommendations for like a Samsung gallery alternative, definitely share them. Have you heard of the whole movement? I haven't. I know I've seen the videos, but yeah. Did we talk about the Calyx situation? Kind of a huge bummer. Not sure what happened behind the scenes. Okay, yeah, this like really sucks. So for people who haven't heard, so CalyxOS, again, I've used CalyxOS myself. I think it's a really cool project. It's definitely one of the good projects in the Android ROM space. They pretty much just out of nowhere, and when I'm saying this, I have no behind the scenes info. I've had previous, conversations with the guys behind Calyx just randomly about different things, but never about this. So I'm just in the dark as you guys are on this. But yeah, kind of just randomly, like last week, their lead developer and their director just left. And not in a very clean way, as I can tell. They pretty much said we're pausing Calyx updates for an indefinite period of time. It seems like they're implying the signing keys might change. I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty around it. A lot of red flags, right? Like, I don't like the situation. It could just be kind of like a mishandling of it, but if I was running Calyx right now on my main phone, I would be very upset about the situation, and I would feel a bit stuck right now. Because I would be like, well, do I just want to wait it out and see what happens, and maybe they'll have things up and running in the next month or so, or is this going to be a 6-month thing? They're not going to be pushing security updates to these phones. So yeah, it's a tough spot to be in, and it really sucks. So this is just kind of this is me just sharing that it sucks to temporarily lose a good project like this. I'm hopeful that it does return, and hopefully they did say that they're making some really big infrastructure changes behind the scenes. So I'm really hoping that their big infrastructure changes will pay off, and maybe it's short-term pain for long-term gain. I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens. But either way, if I was a Calyx user, I would definitely lose some trust right now, and I think that's pretty valid. And I do think they can build it back, though. So that's my hope. So we'll see what happens. Let's see, I was asking, is Aurora Store for Signal the best way? Honestly, you can get Signal, and you're gonna hear everyone complain about this, between like, what's the best way to get Signal on Android? The main options, you can get the APK from their website. It actually self-updates, so you actually don't even need a third-party way to manage your apps. You can just download Signal, install the APK, it auto-updates. That's option one. You can get it from Aurora. It'll update everything else for you as well. You can use Obtainium and just get it from GitHub. You can get it from F-Droid, I believe, if you want to get it through Molly. I don't know if there's third-party repos for Signal and F-Droid yet, but you can get Molly from F-Droid. You can also, theoretically, depending on what you're running, you can just get it from the Google Play Store. It doesn't matter. I think you can always have the option of getting Signal independently from their website, because it self-updates and it can kind of exist outside of your regular ecosystem. If you're already using Aurora for 10 apps, then sure, get it from Aurora. If you're already using Obtainium, get it from Obtainium. Just do whatever it takes to use a good provider that works with the rest of your workflow, is what I'd say. What do you think about MixNet routing? I don't know much, if at all, about MixNet, so I won't be able to really say much about that. What do you think about YouTube's AI age verification? Yeah, so I just put out my video about age verification in the UK. It's not specific to YouTube, but everything I say is directly applicable to the YouTube situation. So all my thoughts are in that video. What would be the safest way to use Discord? Alias when possible, keep it in your browser, don't install a desktop client. Try to avoid the mobile app. And use it with some kind of browser extension that has some kind of tracker protection. So uBlock Origin would be a great combination. And that's about the most you can do in most situations. Someone recommended Aves Gallery as an alternative to Samsung's Gallery. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and resume the privacy wins. Please feel free to still leave your questions and anything that you want in the live chat. I'll get back to you guys after we go through a few more wins. So I already covered Burner. That was the highlight. Let's see. I now use Qubes, and I like it so much that I wrote the Qubes review. So let's go ahead and check this out. So they wrote this really nice review of Qubes on our forum, which is very thorough. And it's actually fun because I'm doing a Qubes review myself as well. So Unknown Ghost beat me to it. OG Ghost. So yeah, really cool stuff. If you guys want to check it out, that is on the forum, and that's a big win. It sounds like you put a lot of time into it. All right, and this is another big one from Candroid Man. I own a phone and computer repair shop. Okay, this one was actually really sweet, and I really liked reading it, and I did already respond to it on the forum because it made me very happy. So they own a repair shop. They had 2 customers in 1 week that I've never met before with Linux installed in their computer. Not only that, in that same week, they installed Linux for 2 other customers. I've also suggested and encouraged my customers to try Linux, especially elderly folks who only go on Facebook. And they have 50% off discount on all Linux installations because it's easier and faster for me, which is awesome, by the way. I love how you're incentivizing Linux through your business. And if you have any kind of business or anything that you're selling, definitely try to find ways to incentivize people who use the cool tools we talk about. So a good example of this for Go Incognito, the course, it's 50% off if you use Monero. And that's an easy way to be like, hey, if you're using a privacy tool, here's a small perk. So like try to set up incentives for that kind of stuff. So that way you're incentivizing people who like something you're doing, and you're in the process giving them an incentive, but also giving them something that's probably going to help them in the long run. So let's see. I even have a customer who came to me for privacy consultations. We got him on Linux Mint. We made an account with Proton using Brave. I just think it's cool that more and more average people are starting to understand that privacy is important. I fully agree. And this is why I was really happy reading this, was the end. None of this would have been possible. You started my privacy journey almost 6 years ago. I don't normally post this stuff, but I wanted the amazing folks at Techlore. So yeah, just a lot of kind words to send this way, and it was really nice to read this today. I somehow did have time to catch up on the forum, and this is a really sweet comment. And so thank you so much for sharing that. It really does mean a lot. Like the nice comments you guys leave seriously mean the world, because it's not the most like optimistic space to be in, right? It's a lot of doom and gloom, and so part of the reason why we do these weekly wins. And then yeah, I just said a little thing here, and then I posted that, which is all the wins. And if you go home, you can oh, it already synced to the stream. That's cool. So we have a lot of automations. Pretty cool. I'm saying pretty cool to myself as well, because I actually didn't think it would do that. So just geeking out over my own forum. Let's see here. Here, next week is already up. So if you guys are watching this right now, you can already leave your win on next week's forum, and I'll cover it next week in the live stream. So it's already there. It's pinned at the top of the forum, as you guys just saw. And I'd love to hear you guys' wins. And now, let's get comments out of the way. Again, if you have wins in the comments, if you're in the Signal group, whatever, please share it along. So Mr. Plasma pretty much asked, is it true that Aurora is at risk because of Google Play's API change? I haven't heard too much about this. So I've broadly been, there's a lot of stuff coming out right now about how, you know, Europe is trying to better regulate like what's trusted software that comes from manufacturers, which has been interpreted to mean, you know, they might be going after custom ROMs, it might be exaggeration. I've been seeing this stuff about Google maybe breaking up AOSP, Chrome, etc. There's a lot of things moving right now globally, and I'm seeing things, people are concerned about the Chromium browser engine and how that impacts open source browsers like Brave. People are concerned about Android ROMs and what might happen with those. I believe they kept the blobs much harder to access for their newer devices for these Android ROMs, which makes things tougher. AOSP seems to be also moving into more like private development, etc. So there's a lot of writing on the wall for something big to happen these next few years. And I hope nothing big happens, because the current situation we're in with a lot of Google's stuff is very open, and it's a really nice open ecosystem that I think is overall a net good for the community. But it might not stay that way forever. So take advantage of the time we have, be appreciative for it now, and keep fighting and keep advocating when things come up. But there's just a lot of moving pieces right now. And I don't know the exact specifics on this one, so no comment there, but it's a constant thing we're pushing. And it's really important, you know, this is something I was talking about a lot, I think about a year ago on some of the live streams I was doing. Things like Android ROMs, things like Aurora Store, these are awesome services. Love them. But they are not dealing with the root issue. They still ultimately require you to essentially get apps. You are getting apps from the Google Play Store when you use Aurora, right? It's just doing it with, you know, anonymous information, or it's through an open source app, but you are ultimately still getting APKs from the Google Play Store. If Google decides to ban all end-to-end encrypted apps in their Play Store, that means that you will also have those banned when you get them through Aurora. So you are kind of just pushing things down the road. And as of right now, a lot of these third-party open source Android projects that are doing some really cool work are kind of in the same boat right now, where a lot of their work is still ultimately a bit dependent on what Google is doing and or Google devices. So it's a good place we're in right now, but it puts us in a very vulnerable position without much resilience if Google does have the potential to cut off some of these awesome tools that we have. So I don't know what the future looks like, but these are kind of the things to think about and maybe just get some language and dialogue out there, because I don't see enough discussion about it. You can download Signal from F-Droid if you get the Guardian Project repo. Cool, that's right. I totally forgot about that. That was a cool announcement. I think that came out earlier this year. But yes, Signal is now in the F-Droid repo, or the Guardian Project repo, which you can enable in the F-Droid settings. Thank you for correcting me on that. And definitely check that out if you're interested in getting Signal from F-Droid. If Signal/Molly got banned in my country, would it still be possible to get and use Signal in Molly? If so, how? I don't know. I don't know what country you're in. I don't know what kind of law they're passing. I have yet to see a country, even the most invasive countries out there, passing some of the most intense regulation around this stuff. They don't normally say we're banning encryption. They normally just say, well, we're globally restricting you from accessing these tools, which might include banning, right? But I haven't seen any. Normally the way they block these is on the network level, is what I'm trying to say. So it's not normally an issue of getting the app, especially if you're on Android. That's the power of Android. You can sideload apps, you can get an APK, you can find it from GitHub, you can find the source code, etc. It's not an issue of installing the app. It's an issue of connecting to the servers and whatever kind of firewalls and stuff they have in your country to block those. And fortunately, there are a lot of workarounds for that. Signal itself has censorship circumvention within the app that you can just enable. Some basic proxies might work. It really depends how intense the firewall situation is. Some VPNs might do it for you. And of course, you have Tor/Orbot. And there are even some more sophisticated tools out there that you could consider as well. So yeah, just a lot to think about there. I haven't seen a country that says, no, it is illegal for you to use end-to-end encrypted messaging, and here are the consequences if we catch you doing so. I haven't seen it yet. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It's just not something I've formally seen. And yes, people also said Fossify, so I'm glad I got that right. I have not looked into Iron Fox yet. I'm sorry. I know that was the big topic last week. So yeah, what do you guys use instead of YouTube Premium? You're asking me? You're asking others? Basically, uBlock Origin. Yeah, so I checked stats yesterday. Someone asked us what our CPM is. So creator talk, behind the scenes, YouTube talk, content per something. I forgot. I forgot what CPM stands for, but essentially it's like the amount of revenue you get per 1,000 views. And so it's like it's a metric that YouTubers generally try to track to see like, oh, hey, you know, I get this many views and here's my general CPM because I upload this kind of quality of content in this kind of specific niche, etc. It's not that relevant and it's not something I follow too much, but I did have to check it for the first time in a long time. And yeah, it's weird because I did the math between just like on your YouTube dashboard, it just showed like ad revenue compared to views. And then when you do the math, we have like an awful CPM. And then, but you actually go into the formal CPM values that YouTube gives, and they were actually pretty decent. And I'm like, why is there a discrepancy here? The discrepancy is because YouTube only counts the CPM value for monetized playbacks. So if you're using an ad blocker, it counts as a view on our ends, but of course there's no revenue, and it makes the CPM insanely low. So it's a very conflicting place to be in, because it's like, okay, cool. So a lot of our audience, like over half of our audience, seems to be using ad blockers, but that means we're also losing out on literally like, we're making like half the amount of ad revenue that we probably should be making on YouTube. Luckily, we have Techlorians, we have people supporting us, we have sponsors, we have affiliates. Like, I've set things up so that like we're in no way dependent on YouTube ads. But yes, that is always something I'm thinking about. So yeah, I still advise ad blockers. They are a very important privacy and security tool out there. And I can't in good faith say stop using ad blockers. And I think my ideal goal is to get that CPM as, I guess, perhaps low as possible. But it was alarming. And it was like, wow, I didn't, it does suck to see that as well at the same time. So yeah, I think that's just one reason. It doesn't have to be me, right? I always say this, it doesn't have to be me. But when you use an ad blocker, at least try to support like one of your favorite creators like every few months. It could be like a $2 thing that you send to someone like 3 months at a time. And that's one way to like offset essentially what you're getting for free from other creators. I really am saying other because it doesn't have to be through me. I'm just trying to help out just the general like YouTube space, because I know some people are much more dependent on ad revenue than we are. Let's see. And then yes, NewPipe, Tubular, and GrayJ are some recommendations. I've only used NewPipe of those, so it's a pretty cool service. Brave browser is also good for YouTube usage. You can also get Molly from a Crescent. Nice. Do you think other countries will start implementing refining their own safety acts, referring to the UK's example? Sadly, I do think so. When a major country like the UK passes something like this, it tends to be a domino effect, and I know Canada's already been teasing stuff like this. We have Australia. Kind of my most recent content the last couple weeks has been about this exact scenario. So I would be careful and definitely watch out. And then we see Nix here. Nix says, yeah, Henry advises ad blockers, kill CPM for YouTube, smiley face. Yes, I should have seen that coming. And then Nick says, there are filters and add-ons that whitelist specific creators for displaying ads, if I remember. I haven't heard of those before. It sounds like a cool concept. So yeah, I've never heard of that. So if you have used something like that, then that's perhaps a workaround. Yippee. Is that blank? It looks like there's something there. I don't know. Do you think NewPipe, GrayJ, and FreeTube will work after YouTube implements age verification? So I kind of just brought this up not that long ago. I see all of these services that are still dependent on the actual platforms to be workarounds / temporary solutions, that doesn't mean they're not important. It doesn't mean that we can't utilize them right now. It just means that they're not actually solving any root problems. When you're accessing YouTube through NewPipe, you're still kind of just dependent on YouTube allowing that to happen. And YouTube tries a lot of things to make these services not work, but they're very, behind the scenes things they're trying. But theoretically, tomorrow, YouTube could require you to log into Google to access content, like a full hard requirement. And they've been moving more and more in that direction. I don't think anyone denies that. They're making it harder and harder to access YouTube in fresh browsers. If you're using an ad blocker, if you're using a VPN, there's no denying this. And so they've already been moving in that direction for a long time. So I fully support you guys using NewPipe, but this is why we're on PeerTube. PeerTube is its own platform that doesn't have any of the ads, that doesn't have any of the stuff. It's hosted by ourselves, and then we can choose kind of the own policies that we have there. And I think that's what creators need to be doing. Creators need to, yes, encourage people to access things in whatever way they can, but they need to also be helping to create the real long-term alternatives. We can't just keep utilizing those short-term alternatives, because then we'll be stuck on those and then we'll always be dependent on those. Let's see. Is Proton Mail in their suite of stuff as good as they say it is? I guess it depends what you mean in terms, like, of course, Proton is, I'd say, very heavy marketing, which is fine. I think they're really trying to like tackle that like that Google monstrosity of an ecosystem. And they're trying to target the mainstream, and some of their marketing can feel a bit intense, I think, to like, our communities. But I think overall, Proton gets like 90% of their stuff right. Like, it's really easy to nitpick what Proton's doing. This is easy for me to do, and I'm a reviewer to some extent, so part of my job is finding those issues. And so a lot of my stuff will be critical because it's like, well, here's what I think needs to change, here's how we can make it better, here's how it's more accessible to a regular person. But I had to use Gmail for the first time in a while. I didn't stick with it. I just had to like open the client and use it. Guys, Gmail hasn't changed like a freaking thing 10 years later outside of just adding AI to stuff. Like, their settings panel looks like it's raw HTML, and I thought they would have updated that 10 years later. And this whole time, I've been kind of using Proton with like the overall assumption of like, oh, I'm sure Gmail's still better than this. I'm gonna be real. I actually think Proton's interface is better than Gmail's. And that's not to say Proton is like perfect or excellent. It's just that Gmail's interface kind of sucks. Like, if you're stuck on Gmail and you've been using it for a while, it's familiar to you. You might not pick up on that, but as someone who's using Gmail for like the first time in a long time, I'm like, wow, this actually isn't that great. So I think Proton's doing, again, 80–90% of things really well, but I also think that if you're trying to get very specialized software, you can probably find slightly better services in each thing they try to do, right? So there's lots of great email providers. Tuda's a great provider, and they will do a lot of good stuff as well. There's really good VPNs like Mullvad VPN, iVPN. There's really good password managers like Bitwarden. There's really good drive providers like Filein, like Nextcloud, etc. So you can find all of Proton's stuff in other places, but what Proton's really doing is bringing it all under one hood to make it really easy and accessible to people. And from that perspective, I think they're doing a really solid job. But they also, they're trying to do everything. So to some extent, they're not doing everything perfectly. So that's my overall take on Proton at the moment. And I am all in on stuff, right? Like I'm in Proton Pass, I'm using Proton Mail. We use it for business back here. We use it for a lot of things. And I'm using Proton VPN as well. So yeah, a lot of stuff back here that uses Proton, and I think it's okay to be like, they can improve these few things, but I think they're overall doing it that good. Yeah, let's see. What is Molly? First time hearing it, I thought it's a drug. Yeah, so I did a review of Molly. Type in Molly Signal review on YouTube, and our review will come up. That should work on your search engine as well. I haven't seen many other reviews of Molly. I'd love to see more reviews of it out there. Molly's essentially a fork of Signal that tries to add some cool privacy and security features. Aside from that, most notably, it allows you to add multiple phones to your Signal account. So Signal by default only allows you to have one phone, and then you can only do linked devices from there, like desktop. But let's say you have an Android phone and an iPhone. With Molly, you can install Molly on your Android phone, and you can still use Signal on your iPhone and use Molly as a linked device. So that's a cool side effect of using Molly, and it's probably the most common use case I've seen for people who use Molly, myself included. But I did a full dedicated review to Molly that you guys should check out if you haven't already. It's a pretty cool project. Oh, and I do want to add, someone called it a client. It is a client. And just to specify, when I said a fork, it still works via Signal. Like, it's still your same Signal account. It's all Signal. But yeah, I think describing it as a client, like Hyper Crazy said, is a bit easier to figure out what that is. So I think that's a better way to put it than I put it. I fully agree. No, I have some people who pull up a YouTube video and they show it to me, and then I just start getting bombarded with ads, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot that this is a thing, because I normally just watch YouTube and Brave. But yeah, it's a thing. Brave or Firefox Deb? Yeah, see, this is hard. This is very speculative stuff. I don't really want to comment on things that are too speculative. It's really easy to be able to interpret laws in certain ways, and we don't really know if that's exactly how they'd be interpreted. So I can't tell you, and I haven't even seen this, so I can't really add much context. But anytime you see stuff like this, it's hard to actually confirm that's actually what's going to happen, if that makes sense. But it's good to speculate, it's good to chat, I just don't know. I'm on the fence of signing up for Proton, just trying to de-Google. They have a free plan. Try it out. If it doesn't work, then try out all the other services. We have a whole resources page that can detail things for you. Have you had issues with things disappearing from your Proton calendar? I haven't, so that's weird. I would definitely reach out to them about that. I haven't had that issue though, and I use the calendar quite a bit. In Proton Pass aliases, there's a create contact option. Do you need to do this? I don't know if I've seen that. Proton Pass, create contact. Maybe the feature you're referring to, with the aliases, you need to create a contact so that you can email them first. If so, that's a specific reason to use that feature, if that makes sense. So, like a good example of this, so if I register for a service, let's say I register for Amazon.com or something, and I put in a simple login or a Proton Pass alias, they're gonna mail me, I can respond to that email, etc. That's fine. But let's say I want to email someone from one of my aliases and they just gave me their email. To initiate that conversation, that's when I think you would go into this feature. You'd say create contact, put in their email, and it'll give you a reverse alias that you use to email, and then it'll go through the alias to contact them. So it allows you to initiate the conversation, if that makes sense. We have greetings from Calcite the Lion. Hello. Thanks for answering my question. Of course. Proton homepage / degoogle. I'm switching everything away from my legacy Gmail account to my Proton account. Next week, I'll do my professional Gmail for the same thing. Good luck on the journey. Please tune in next week and share how the experience went. Better yet, if you join the forum and leave like a more thorough thing there for us to track, would be awesome. Thanks for the answer. What happened to your answering your privacy and security questions, which you did with Jonah? Jonah is no longer part of Techlore. He's all on privacy guides now. So yeah, he's not around. I don't know if he's planning to do something like that on privacy guides, but yeah, he's over there. I'm guessing I've missed the main talk about configuring Signal. Yes, you did. That was like the main featured thing at the beginning, so definitely go check that out towards the beginning. I can't stop thinking about Session moved from Australia to Switzerland because of surveillance laws, but now they have to move from Switzerland as well because they also added new surveillance laws. Have they actually talked about that publicly? I know I've kind of joked about this, like half-jokingly talked about this in some of our content. It's like, I don't know if they've actually made a public statement. So please share that along. I would love to hear if they've actually talked about that, because it would really suck if they just happened to pick 2 countries that passed the same kind of surveillance laws. I basically asked if using disroot is okay in the invisible comment. I'm not super familiar with disroot. As far as I know, they don't offer any like native end-to-end encryption like Proton or Tuta does, but I've heard that they're a pretty good overall privacy respecting service. These are just things I've heard. I've never like actually looked into it very much. Hello, Techlore. I currently use NextDNS with Mulvad. Do you know how to use recreation time in NextDNS to the correct time zone while connected on Mulvad VPN? That's a good question. Are you saying that it follows the server's time zone? Yeah, that's my question to you. I actually haven't come across this issue yet. Hey, from Tech, hello. Definitely give Tech a like. Let's give some of that. Give some hundreds. Thanks so much. Appreciate all the content. Please leave a reply if you want to ask anything specifically. Would love to engage with anything. Let's see. Are there any countries left that are safe from complete online surveillance? Yeah, it's hard to say. There's a lot of countries not doing things, but you know, it's tough to predict this stuff. And I'd say right now you have like individual countries that seem to not be really caring much about this stuff. I struggle to say, oh, this country is safe, because then like next week they're gonna propose something new. So I don't want to make this fear mongering and say nobody's safe. But yeah, nobody's fully safe. It's just who's doing it first. And I think what's more important is focusing on the fight. That's why it's a global problem. We need to focus the fight on these countries. I'm not in the UK, but I'm making content about the UK. I'm not in Australia, but I'm still talking about Australia. Like, this is the stuff we need to do. It's really important to talk about, because this is going to affect you at home at some point in time if more countries start passing it. I'd be focusing more on that, because it doesn't matter if a place is safe today if it's not going to be safe in 6 months. And again, thank you, Tech, for the comment. Have you ever heard of inbox YouTube used to have before being converted to the... No, I haven't heard of this. Is it an extension? What is it? It sounds like something you could replace with an RSS feed, is all I'll say, which is how I keep up with YouTube, by the way. I just have YouTube channels in my RSS feed. Sorry, I want the time zone to match the country I'm in for recreation time. I'm sorry, I'm not getting like the issue you're having with NextDNS and what's happening and what you need to change. So, yeah. Signal. Signal. I know it's a typo. I'm just giving you a tough time. Christopher, what's the best way to support you that nets you the most income, taking into consideration things like processing fees, crypto fees, taxes, etc.? It's a good question. So everything has some kind of fees if you're technically are trying to get the least amount of fees possible. Speaking of, I forgot we have XMRChat, and there are some questions this week that I'll touch on in a second here. Monero, unironically, probably is the least amount of fees. You're probably going to pay like very little fees relative to what you give through Monero. But I'll also say Monero is like, it's very privacy respecting and also a bit less helpful in some ways as well. Because actually like taking the Monero and making it usable for like, you know, regular operations, like paying the editor, paying for all the services we use to make this content, paying for production equipment, like everything that it takes to make this all come together. It's a bit harder to do with Monero. I don't think I need to explain why. And so, yeah, I would say overall, what I've really been pushing people to is our Techlore thing on our forum. That's through us on Stripe. And we have full ownership of that. So that's something that you just join natively through our platform, through Stripe. And that way it's at least all in-house. And there's no like additional Patreon fees on top of like your regular fees that are coming from like regular fiat transactions, if that makes sense. I hope that helps. And you know, I don't know. That's the best answer I can give. Have you heard the EU is going to ban Monero? Will that have any effect? Yeah, it's definitely something they're working on. Again, these things are very preliminary and it's really hard to see what it actually looks like when it really happens. So I don't want to be too speculative about things I don't fully understand and can give an actual like thorough analysis on. So, but I have heard of it. It's something I'm following, and that's about the most I can comment on right now. And I see some questions in the Signal group. Let me go ahead and just clear through these, and now I'll pivot over. Let's see. Inbox is like an old email that was sent from user to keep you in contact with. I'm a bit lost on all the convos right now. I don't know, what were you referencing earlier? Wonder when the EU will ban Monero, what will happen with Molvad? Will they leave Sweden or stop allowing you to pay with Monero? Yeah, good question. Ever heard of WowNero? Is it just as private as Monero? Yeah, I mean, why WowNero? I think it's like a meme coin for Monero. I just push people to Monero. Nothing against WowNero, but. Has anyone seen the bot comments on TikTok under videos about the Online Safety Act that try spreading the narrative that if you oppose this, then you're a predator? Yeah, I'm not surprised to see that. And then in the Signal group, we have a few people here. If I may weigh in on this, I personally use Proton Unlimited and pay for Molvad VPN and 1Password, so I don't use Proton Pass. In the VPN, I have the 2 options. Should I use Proton Auth or stick with Ente? I have good news for you, Monkey D. I promise I'm not trying to just push you to content. But it's going to be much better than the answer I can give you right now in a live stream. I'm about halfway through editing a video that's literally called Proton Auth versus Ente. So you will have an answer most likely by the end of today. So that's my answer. And yeah, because Proton released Proton Authenticator. which is their TOTP app, and yeah, it's fine. But if you're already on Entei, I can't find a good reason to tell you to move, and that's kind of my assessment as someone who's also using Entei. So let's see. Just keep in mind if you sync with Proton account, you can lock yourself out. 1Password just means you will put password of the 2FA code in one place. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see here. Okay, now before I resume with this live chat, I do want to give some attention to XMRChat. So we are on XMRChat, and what this is it allows you to send essentially comments. I'm not fully using it in the way they intend it to be used because oh, I made that really messed up. I'm sorry. You guys don't want to look at that. Instead, I will do this. That's still not great. Sorry, the way that this is, okay, I have a better idea here. I'm going to hide this. But then it's a bit cut off. Let me see if I can fix that. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this on the fly. Okay, apparently I cannot. So, why is this so messed up? Sorry, guys. This is so screwy. Maybe that's something they could also make a little bit better. Anyway, I'll try to just read them anyway. So how, let's see, we already answered this back in the day, but these people tip Monero to ask questions. There's no personal information required. And this goes directly to our Monero wallet, which is really cool. So Shaquille Oatmeal asks, what I recently did since getting back into privacy and cybersecurity, they installed Fedora on their main laptop, installed Qubes, switched to start page, Entei-auth, and most importantly, subscribe to Techlore back again. Thank you so much, and really cool wins over there. And it doesn't show a date, but I do think it's been a while, so I appreciate your patience on getting back to this. We have a very long name I won't try to pronounce. Imagine you were living in the country that is restrictive towards privacy. VPNs are being blocked heavily, access to the majority of privacy tools are blocked, and could get in trouble for using certain tools. What would you do and no leaving? And I would very much say I would probably set up some really secure Tor environment, probably something with Unix and or TailsOS to access websites and also access tools, and then sideload those tools and put them on devices that I feel like I could reasonably trust. That is probably about the best you can do in situations like this. And you have to definitely have different, it's a different threat and a different thing to consider than your regular privacy and security advice. So it's a really good hypothetical. Only use FOSS, a match for my privacy win post. And it looks like, so you left a privacy win post. Oh, I see, only use FOSS, great. And so, yes, okay, so you went ahead and pretty much tipped and you also left your massive win here, which is awesome. And I do believe we covered this last week. So thank you for that. Loving the content, keep up the good work, and thank you, Anon. And that should be the XMR chats. So if you guys want to just do it directly with Monero and leave a live chat / comment, that's a way to do that. And then let me go back to the live chat here. How you guys doing? What are you guys up to? Just so you know, I'm gonna give about like a 5 to 10 minute warning here. You know, we're kind of through most of the stuff. So I'll go ahead and just kind of stay in the live chat with you guys for about another 5 or 10 minutes. So just giving a little warning there. How do you find the Signal group? It's for Techlorians. So either if you're on Patreon or if you're in our forum, you just join and then you just DM me your Signal username and I add you to the Signal group. It's a cool little like private place for you guys. And the reason it's paid is yes, it's a perk that I can offer you guys, and it's a good way for you to support the channel, keep this free, etc. But also there's no real good moderation tools on Signal. And so it's the best moderation for Signal is literally just making it exclusive. And of course we still have our free community on the forum and stuff like that. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, I see a lot of people say that the live chat is a little sensitive. So There is no one else moderating this chat. It's just me right now on here. That might change if people start abusing it, so don't take that as advice. Yeah, this would just be like the YouTube auto whatever they're doing behind the scenes. Okay, while this question is not related to privacy, which news websites which cover cybersecurity would you recommend? So it depends what you mean by cybersecurity. If you're talking about cybersecurity incidents like data breaches, stuff that's going on in the world in terms of encryption, etc., I really like Slashdot for very broad stuff. 404 Media is really good as well. They've been doing some really good coverage and they do a lot of original work over there. There are lots of accounts I follow on Mastodon, and as well as through like xcancel.com. It's a front end for Twitter, which you can follow via RSS. So you can follow some Twitter accounts via RSS without an account via xcancel. I know I just said a lot of gibberish. Essentially, just look up xcancel, and it's a front end, and then you'll find RSS for certain accounts. But overall, those are kind of the main resources I lean on. And it gets me pretty far. You'll hear about most things through all those sources. I have to go, but I want to say as a first-time visitor, you are a badass community. Take care all, of course, and thank you for being here, SideQuest Sam, and thanks for engaging and leaving some cool stuff here in the chat. Yeah, and I hope to see you next week. These are every Friday at the same time, so please come back. And then Techlorians. I recommend keeping Entei then in the event something happens to your Proton account. They did not fix the security issue with Android. But offline is very safe. Okay. Cool. Yeah, just some updates in the Signal group. All right, I'm still here. Kind of last call. You guys have any more wins you want to share? Please don't be shy. If you did anything cool at all this last week, it could be as simple as moving a new friend over to Signal. It could be one account that you added 2FA for. The more you guys share, I think the better. And then also would love any questions you guys have, comments. I'm here, and I'll be on for another few minutes. So last call. Would this live stay up after finishing? Yep, they're always up. And I try to have timestamps up in the next, within the next couple hours of finishing the stream. So you also get some basic timestamps. It's not for every question, but it's like typically every 5 minutes or so you'll get a live timestamp. Yeah, I actually created a playlist, and I'm going to retroactively add things to the playlist so it's easier for you guys to track these. And I'm also going to do something similar on the forum. Like I'm going to create a new category on the forum for just the wins, since this has been going on for a long time. What do you think of Peter Kyle's comments on the online safety? I haven't seen them, so yeah, that's my comment. Yes, xcancel is not the only knitter instance. There are a lot of other instances. Yep. So if you want the actual instance, it's knitter, or not the actual project that the instances are based on is knitter. I kind of hate the name for, I think, obvious reasons. I always feel a little dirty saying it. But yeah, it's a really cool project, and it allows you to access Twitter without needing Twitter. So that is why it is called that. Really? No other wins? We have 73 people live right now, and none of you guys have extra wins to share? You guys didn't do anything this last week? I'm trying to think, actually. Ironically, like what win did I have this last week? Let me see. I feel like I downloaded something new. Oh, I have a behind-the-scenes updated, like slight updated address situation. And I was able to essentially update a few of my accounts to that address, which I'm really excited about. So that's something that's been in the works for a long time, and it always feels good when you update an address on an account and like everything just works smoothly, because sometimes it doesn't work that way. So yeah. Let's see. I switched some apps to Brave browser, and thanks for everything you do. Nice, yeah. Which apps did you switch over? You'll probably mean like you moved over to some web apps, things like really a lot of the services I talk about have web apps. So that's a pretty cool win over there. I used Zcash over Tor for the first time. Nice, nice, nice. Very oddly specific, but very cool. I'd love to hear what website used Zcash. I feel like Monero's a little more popular, so you don't have to obviously share in the live chat, but I'd love to see kind of what you did with that. You know that dude? Oh, I see. Okay, yes. So Yara is referencing, I didn't know the dude's name. There is some dude who now I know his name is Peter Kyle. He has 2 first names. He pretty much made this comment. He's like, if you use a VPN, you are harming children. Just don't use a VPN. Just obey the rules, obey the laws. Blah, blah, blah. That hurt my throat to do for some reason. I'm like 20% exaggerating, but that is like unironically almost what the video is like. And you guys should check out the video if you haven't already. But yeah, I think Nate put it in the B-roll. I didn't edit it, so I actually didn't know he threw it in, but that's pretty funny. Henry had a win on Signal. Pointing. Oh, okay, Garija said he's going to set up a similar incentive program for his gaming cafe where users would contact through Signal will get a free hour of gaming, maybe 2 hours of Linux gaming. That's a good incentive. That's a good job to like bring the tools to people. So good stuff over there. My recent win that I have started to move away from Spotify to local music. Dude, this is making a comeback. There are lots of people outside of the privacy and security space that are just saying like, man, I'm so tired of streaming services. I want to own a library again. It's making a comeback. I really feel that way about it. And so I really would like to hear how that journey goes for you. Have you heard about Meshtastic? I have not. Yeah. And then we got the Nugget Doctrine. Thank you so much. Why is there only 3 likes? There's 72 of you watching. Let's give Nugget Doctrine some likes. And let's also give some hundreds. No, really, but seriously, thank you so much for supporting. And I will gladly accept that as your win for the week. Loving Proton Pass, but I've not transitioned to Proton Cal from Apple Cal. So you can actually kind of do both. It's not the same, right? It's not the same. But you can subscribe to your Proton Cal from your RSS, like via RSS, so you can at least kind of see it. You can't edit it. You can't do anything cool with it. It's not as native as something like a GCal thing in Apple Cal. But yes, you can at least follow it from there. Just a thought. Yes, we got it to 16. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome for that. Roman says hi. The EU has big trust me, bro energy. Bro, I started using VPN because I've been DDoSed and doxed. True. But you're do you care about kids? Is what Peter Kyle would say, or whatever his name is. Not my win, but one of my coworkers put up a privacy screen on a work computer monitor. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've seen that a lot in the business space, and I wish it carried over more into the personal space. I don't know why businesses deserve privacy, but not individuals, right? I replaced a lot of Google apps with Proton, however, with Brave and more, and I only kept Play Store, Google Maps, and Google Classroom. Hey, you're making progress, and that's what matters. Oh wow, you guys are really coming in hot. Just sending money to a friend, but also recently got NIM VPN with shielded Zcash. That's cool. I didn't know NIM supported Zcash. It's pretty awesome. It was 2 weeks ago, but I switched from IPVanish to Mulvad. That's a good switch. Very, very good switch. I hope it's been going well for you. Definitely share if you like it. Getting off Spotify will be hard. I agree. That's a tough one. It doesn't have to be Spotify. If you're used to music streaming, going local is a big transition. I use Spotify. I'm dumping and ending my 3-year sub. What are some good options to purchase music ethically and legally, avoiding big tech? Honestly, I'm not super familiar with that right now. That's going to be a tough one to do. A lot of services that let you buy, I mean, you can always buy music via iTunes and stuff like that, but that doesn't really fit your avoiding big tech thing. So I feel like musicians or someone else might actually have a better answer to that. Hey everyone, says Jack. What default iPhone apps should be removed to have more privacy ones? Notes, calendar, that's a very loaded question. And actually a really good video idea. So I'll think that over. I think it's a bit much, so maybe save the question for next week if you're able to tune in next week. Because that's, I think, a pretty loaded question right now, and we only have a couple minutes left here. My recent wins is that I've been used Tor browser and found social medias with .onion websites there. Yeah, which ones did you find? I know at least Facebook used to have one. I don't know if Reddit still has one, but I'd love to hear which ones you found. I moved away with AI-related works for my own. Nice. Did you ever look into Shadow PC for gaming? Let me check it out. Shadow PC. Your PC in the cloud. Oh, interesting. This is not anything I would use, but just mainly because I'm not a gamer, but it looks interesting. Yeah, I just pulled up the site here. Yes, and Spotify does have a good progressive web app. I will say that. I have used that in the past, and it's really nice. What's with Proton creating the new Authenticator app, yet leaving simple login out by itself almost? Also, the Online Safety Act in the UK is horrible. Yeah, it is interesting how the Authenticator app isn't Proton Pass, if that makes sense. But I get why they wanted a dedicated thing. It's just interesting. I think the whole ecosystem thing is getting a bit messy, perhaps. Let's see. Great work, guys. Yes, yes. Have you ever heard of Grooveshark? I have not. The skips. Buying music is to buy CDs from bands direct. This is sometimes the only option for bands I listen to, in fact. Yeah, and I assume you could find some magical way to convert the CD to a digital medium as well. I moved my playlist from Spotify to YouTube because there's so many ads on Spotify, and I need a subscription for more skips. I see. Yeah, cool. Then not much on Signal. You guys are kind of troubleshooting something with Proton over there. Yeah, I don't mean to end things off too aggressively, but still have a lot more work to do today, and I still have that video I want to push out. So you guys, ideally before the end of the day, my time zone, should see a Proton auth versus anti-auth video that I'm really excited about. It's rare for me to do live demos, so it's a kind of a different video where I'm actually set up my phone while I'm talking and using my phone and trying it out. I literally used it for the first time today, so it's a real first impressions kind of video. And I also compare it to anti-auth. As someone who currently uses anti-auth, I feel like I have a lot of experience with it, and I made that comment a lot. So yeah, that's all I got this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for leaving your questions. Thank you all for just being involved and sharing your wins and all the positive stuff. And thank you, Nugget Doctrine, for your super chat, and the one that happened earlier as well from Tech. You guys are awesome. And let's see. Anything else? Join the forum. Yeah, join the forum. And I'll see you guys next week. Keep an eye out for the new content, and see you guys soon. Thank you all for being here.